All right, we are live. This is episode 19 of the Loose Lug Nuts. I am joined, as always, by my co-hosts Aaron Simmons, aka Simoleons, and Zachary Brandevold, coming to you from Tennessee and South Carolina, respectively. How are you fine gentlemen doing this evening? Let's start with you, Zach. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Getting some major homework done, so it seems like that's my answer every week. But yeah, I'm close to being finished. I passed one of the exams that I needed to exempt out of one of the classes that I'm taking. So that was a big thing because my advisor never told me I had to take that class. So I exempted out of it, so I don't have to take it, and so I can graduate this December. So that's how I'm doing.
Nice.
Way to go. Congratulations, Zach.
Thank you.
So, Simoleons, how are you this fine evening?
Pretty much on the same page as Zach here. I'm also in the homework boat. Have been for pretty much all this year. So, Zach, I certainly feel your pain.
I bet you could see it in my eyes. I can see it in yours.
I can see it in your soul, Zach. Trust me. I can see it in your soul.
Smile through the pain.
Yeah, smile through the pain. Laugh so you don't cry.
Yeah.
And just ready to get this show underway, man. We got a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do. And the first thing on the agenda is actually the Xfinity race review. So, Simoleons, you want to talk to us about the Xfinity race and tell us how everything went on. And I am still trying to put some posts up on social media notifying we are going live. So if I seem like I am multitasking, it's because I am. But give it a shot, Simoleons. Tell us about the Xfinity race while I try to go do some posting.
Alrighty, so the Xfinity race was more or less kind of like a small caution fest. I think in grand total we had about, I believe, 7 cautions in total, not counting the stage breaks and competition caution in the first stage. And so it was a total nightmare for a lot of people today, or Saturday. But stage 1 we saw AJ Allmendinger lead early. The bottom lane seemed to be the dominant lane early, as the PJ1 just hasn't had time to get rubbered in yet. But then kind of towards the competition caution on lap 10, Cindric takes the lead and does not look back, and Rowe doesn't look back for the rest of the stage. But then we see our first caution stack up on the restart after the first competition caution. The 10 and the 8, two championship hopefuls for next year, made contact with big damage to the rear of the 8. The 4 and 74 are also still on the track for some reason. I did not hear what happened to them. But then stage 1 after that, nothing really happened. Towards the end of stage 1, but Austin Cindric did win. Towards stage 2, we see the emergence of Daniel Hemrick in the 18 for Joe Gibbs Racing. He will take the lead and really kind of hang on to it till about halfway towards stage 2, where John Hunter Nemechek would emerge in the 54 car. And really, those two are just going to be the class of the field for the rest of the day. Cindric and Allmendinger, through some pit strategy and traffic, would not really be much of a factor for the rest of the race. But then we saw the 48 and the 26 crash together off of turn 2 in stage 3. Then the 78 of McLaughlin spins off turn 4, causing another caution. But then during the pit road for that, we saw John Hunter Nemechek get bopped for a penalty for picker member over the wall too soon, so he will have to go to the rear of the field. But so far we see Hendrick dominating, but then a caution for Brendan Brown taking a huge hit off turn 2. Glad he's all right, because he just flattened the nose off that, of that 68 Chevy. I believe it's a Chevy. But then we see John Nemechek kind of reemerge and take the lead with Hemrick trying to chase him down for everything he's got, but just doesn't have enough to catch the 54 Toyota of John Hunter Nemechek this week. He will win in Texas by essentially just dominating fashion throughout the last half of the race.
So let's talk about this John Hunter Nemechek thing. We have gotten accustomed to seeing him in victory lane in the truck series driving for Kyle Busch Motorsports, but he proved he can wheel an Xfinity car. And okay, so let's talk about this for a second. Let's say you're at Joe Gibbs and you're on the Xfinity side of things. That 54 car has been the best performer of the Joe Gibbs bunch, it seems like, no matter who you put behind the wheel.
It certainly has. I mean, we saw Kyle Busch win, 3 races this season behind the wheel. Then we saw Christopher Bell win New Hampshire this year behind that. And then, of course, we see John Hunter Nemechek go in just one race and just dominate the entire field.
Yeah, and that 54 team seems to be the strongest of the group, and I got to give a lot of credit. I mean, I know there's some very talented drivers there, but you got to give a lot of credit to the guys behind the scene, I think, because it doesn't matter who you put behind the wheel. It has been a dominating truck out there.
It really has been. I mean, really besides, the occasional kind of rookie mistake from Ty Gibbs and kind of just some other dominant performances from Cindric and Allmendinger and all of them. It's been the class of the field pretty much throughout the entire Xfinity season this year.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Cup race for a minute. And speaking of dominance and speaking of the class of the field, Kyle Larson wins again. This is becoming a routine thing. It's kind of like I need a button that I can just press a recording to say Kyle Larson wins again. Kyle Larson wins again. And I can just
and Kyle Larson wins again.
And Kyle Larson wins again.
And again.
Yeah. And, this is a theme. And it's not just a theme, I guess, in NASCAR. He wins at everything, but this is his 8th win. He's got a chance to have double-digit wins, which would be phenomenal. But let's talk about the overall race. At the overall race, were we at Texas or were we at Talladega? Because we had the big one. We had Bubba Wallace spinning and I think collecting 14 cars. That is the big one, and it happened at a 1.5-mile track at Texas. So surprising there. Some of the guys that are the playoff front runners did really well. Some of the guys haven't. One of the things that struck me about the broadcast and the people talking about the race was they said, look at the 8 guys. There's nobody who doesn't deserve to be there. If you were to make a list of the stars of NASCAR right now in 2021, it's pretty much the 8 guys that are in the playoffs right now. You could say that Kevin Harvick is, you can't make a list of stars without including Kevin Harvick, and I would agree that's right. But these 8 guys, there is no surprises. This is the guys you would expect to be there are there. You've got dominance from Hendrick. You've got dominance from Gibbs. You've got dominance from Hendrick, Gibbs, and Penske, the 3 dominant organizations. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of who you would expect to be there. We saw, and this is going to happen in any 3-race stretch, you're going to see some of these guys have problems. Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano. Joey Logano, I think, basically had an engine expire. Truex, I think, got caught up in the big crash at the beginning. Those guys are in must-win situations right now. You had a little bit of a surprise in the points coming out of here. Who picked Ryan Blaney to be second in points with 3 races to go in the season? I don't think very many people picked that, but here is Ryan Blaney, 17 points above the cut line, setting second behind Kyle Larson with 3 races to go in the season. He has truly had a breakout season, which I am thrilled about, happy for the guy. But at the end of the day, it was Kyle Larson celebrating another victory. This race had almost everything, okay? We heard, and we could talk about this more later, but is the Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick rivalry over? We don't know because they were never really around each other. At one point, Chase Elliott was coming through the field and was about to catch up to Kevin Harvick, and we were about to see what happened, and he reported a vibration and had to come to pit road. But they were never really around each other, so we know there was a NASCAR meeting. We know they talked about it. They've been kind of vague in their comments, but they were never really around each other, so we're not really sure the status of that. But at the end of the day, it was still Kyle Larson celebrating his 8th win of the season. So that is the story of the race. Any additional comments you guys have to talk about before we get into the NASCAR news?
No, I just thought it was a good race. I was really expecting it not to be a good race at Texas, especially with what the All-Star race kind of showed.
Yeah, we all did.
And all in all, I don't necessarily think it was a great race when you subtract all the wrecks, but I guess, I mean, for me, the wrecks really made it interesting because you had all those restarts. So I think that was interesting. I think that made it a little bit more interesting to me. But I really wasn't impressed with the package because it was all about the runs. It wasn't about who had the fastest car. I mean, in the end, Larson did, but like I said last week, I thought a Chevy was going to win, and a Chevy did win. And I don't know who placed second, but I think it was a Chevy as well. I could be wrong, but it's all about horsepower and obviously we saw Logano's engine expired. You got to be able to last the race as well. So I thought that was interesting, and it kind of was saved by all the wrecks. I think it was more memorable.
Yeah. So I want to thank Aaron England, also known as AJ Appeal, for tuning in. He has had me on the show they used to have, Racing Refresh. I think they're going to reboot when the new NASCAR season kicks off. Thank you for tuning in, AJ. Glad to have you here. We are just getting underway. Lots to talk about here. And we are up to Zach's favorite segment, NASCAR news.
My favorite segment, yes. All right, well, getting right into it. One of the biggest news out of the week is John Hunter Nemechek is returning to the Truck Series in the Kyle Busch Motorsports number 4 Toyota Tundra. I think most of us this kind of caught us by surprise. So, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
You want to go first, Aaron?
Yeah, the first is your chip. It kind of surprises me, especially with how he performed at Texas this weekend. I kind of thought that Joe Gibbs would kind of make some room for him in the Xfinity Series. Because clearly he's ready for the next step up in the NASCAR tier. Of course, with how he performed in the Truck Series and then how he won this weekend. But I mean, who knows? I mean, may this be more beneficial for John Hunter Nemechek to kind of just go out and make sure he locks up the championship in the Truck Series and make sure he gets some more consistency under his belt. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I could see him jumping into the Xfinity Series next year, but or the 2023 season. I can see him jumping into the Xfinity Series, but yeah, a little surprising, but yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go and say John Hunter Nemechek, we got to give him credit. He has proven that he knows what he's doing, and he's proven he knows how to make the right moves for his career. He was in Cup last year, dropped all the way back to the Truck Series, and he said he wanted to win races. He wanted to prove that he was a top-tier driver. Just about everybody said it was a big mistake to not race Cup, to go all the way back to Truck Series, that he was taking a step back. I think a lot of people thought that he just didn't have what it took to run higher series and nobody wanted him. He said he wanted to go to the Truck Series and win races. He has proven himself. He did exactly what he said he was going to do. He has made it work. He is a much more prominent name now than he ever was when he was running Cup. I got to give him credit for saying I think he's made good moves in his career. So I'm thinking that sticking with Kyle Busch Motorsports, a competitive ride, and we've seen how hard competitive rides are to come by. Look at how every week we talk about why has Matt DiBenedetto not got a ride. There's just not a lot of competitive rides out there. I think it's a good move for him to take it. And I'm also going to say this. Kyle Busch wanted him back in a big way. I think Kyle Busch ran 5 truck races this year, and Nemechek kept score of how many times he beat the boss. And when they interviewed him, he always made sure he talked about, we beat the boss 3 out of 5 times. I think Kyle Busch wants to even up that score. I think Kyle Busch made a big push to get him back because Kyle Busch wants to come back next year and show the young fella he's still the big boss and maybe turn that 3-2 around in his favor. So I think Kyle Busch has something to prove, and I think he wanted him back there so he could prove to the young fella. AJ chiming in saying it worked for Bowman. It did. And to this point, it's worked for John Hunter Nemechek.
Yeah, I thought this was very surprising news. I think he had the resume in order to be able to move up to the Xfinity Series, and I really thought they would have a car this season. They were essentially running through a whole different lineup. Somebody else taking over, I believe. People moving on. So, who are they going to bring back? Are they going to bring back bring back Brandon Jones, who really hasn't done anything in his 3+ years, I think, of or at least 2+ years of racing in top tier equipment, especially in the Xfinity Series? Daniel Hemrick has shown flashes, but hasn't had the push over as far as getting his first win. He's been there, but he's never had the luck on his side for sure. So it's going to be interesting. I think John Hunter is definitely a winner. He would be a winner in any series, maybe not the Cup Series right away, but he definitely is a winner in the Truck Series. And I think this only goes to show that they're all in for this season and next season as far as winning the championship. And I think he wants to win a championship. And that's why he's returning to Kyle Busch Motorsports. But anyway, moving along. So this was another big news. So Matt DiBenedetto went on Sirius XM NASCAR to speak with Danielle Trotta and the crew about next season. And Matt kind of opened up that he's been getting calls from all three series or teams from all three series, which is encouraging. And but he wants to find a team that is more aligned with quote unquote his values. One of the things was Daniel Trotta tweeted out later and kind of misspoke by saying he doesn't want to be saying that Matt said he doesn't want to be censored, but that wasn't his exact words. And that kind of caused a internet firestorm, which was not good, negative reaction. So he says that he wants to be able to speak on issues like religion and show patriotism and find a team that aligns with those values as well. Kind of loosely, that's what he said. So what are you guys' thoughts and the internet's reaction to it? Aaron, if you want to go, or Tom.
Tom, you want to go first? You're muted, Tom.
You're muted.
If I could reach through the internet and wrap my hands around Danielle Trotta and choke her, I would. Okay. She came out and said that he doesn't want to be censored. Okay. Nowhere in the interview did he ever use the word censor or say that he was censored or even talk about any of the ways he's had to speak or asked to speak or taught or spoken about. Never even said he was ever restricted. All he said was in a very positive manner. These are the things that are important to me. I want to find a team that aligns with that and allows me to speak about that. She's the one who introduced the word censor, and I think that word is what really set the internet ablaze. I really thought it was unfair. He never used the word censor, and I think that was what really set the internet off. I thought it was completely unfair. I thought it was poor journalism by Danielle. I thought Matt deserves a lot better than that. I thought this is a perfect example of the media twisting someone's words, taking things out of context, and taking him just making a positive statement about this is what's important to me, and it getting completely turned around to make it sound like he was using words and saying that he was censored. I thought it was completely unfair to Matt. I thought it was completely taken out of context, completely wrong. So that's my thoughts on it.
Aaron?
Yeah, I did feel it was a very bad choice of words on Danielle's part. If you're going to quote somebody, you have to use the actual quote. You can't just kind of freeball like that. I've taken a lot of research classes, and you just cannot do that. If you were trying to quote an interview, you have to use their words. And she obviously tried to, but didn't. And apparently, of course, with internet culture nowadays, you say one wrong word or say one wrong thing, take it on context, and all of a sudden your world is on fire. And so yeah, just a very poor judgment on her part to put it like that, and it's just for a guy that's trying to find a ride for next year that it's not some publicity that he wants or needs right now.
Yeah, and he came out, I think, with a clarifying tweet. I don't think Danielle ever did anything to the best of my knowledge. She never came out and said, I shouldn't have used the word censor, or he never said censor, or this was taken a different direction. I mean, I don't think she did anything. So she kind of just threw him under the bus and then just watch the bus roll on by.
Honestly, I won't say it's fitting, but it kind of seems like it just happens to many dudes. Gets like total bad luck, even though he really didn't intend to have bad luck. It just kind of follows him wherever he goes. I feel like, unfortunately,
he's had more than his share for sure.
Absolutely.
What else you got, Nat? What else you got, Zach?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to share my thoughts on this. I'm a little bit more angry than what I showed. I was absolutely furious when I saw this come out. When I saw the tweet, I said, oh my gosh, here we go. Some more, kind of self-promotion from Matt. He wants, to let people know and stuff like that. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it, but, obviously he's been very vocal about things and, that's good for him. And I want him to be. But, I think bottom line, it was completely taken out of context. What she said in the tweet was not in any words exactly what he said. I'm going to go ahead and read it really quick, really fast. Matty D told us, this is from Daniel Trotta. Matty D told us he was getting calls from across 3 different series that it has been encouraging for him. Wants to find a team that will allow him to speak on issues like religion and patriotism and believe strongly that he believes strongly in. And he doesn't want to be censored. And this is what he actually said. I've had some folks, some different teams reaching out and all kind of different fronts from all 3 series. So that's good and encouraging. But again, there's a balance to working on a partnership side of it, because that is huge. And then again, I don't know how to word it. I'm a very passionate personality, and there's been a lot of things that I care about in the world. I share my faith with people, and people know that about me. But I've also tread very carefully in today's age. We can represent a lot of people and sponsors and such. So I'm actually trying to work on where we could sit and be me, fully authentic, be myself, talk about things I care about, like my brother's in the military. His brother is in the military. My patriotism and all of those things. But also aligning that with potentially the right team, and that being a part of the sponsorship side with a competitive deal, because I want to go win. So there's a lot of things that I'm trying to figure out and piece together right now. That would be kind of the short answer of it. So in no way was this any representation of what he said. And the internet absolutely trashed him for it. I mean, I guarantee you that headline probably is going to ruin his chance at some of these rides, because sponsors are so particular nowadays about who they sponsor and who they represent, and any misguided twisting of words is going to hurt any type of deal. And I guarantee you that what she said, maybe she didn't mean anything by it, but clearly it's not what he said, and I believe it's going to hurt him in the long run. He was very apologetic and nice about it in his response, but frankly, I'd be a little bit more angry if I were him. But that's neither here nor there. I'm going to move on before I get too angry at this. Next thing we got is the 2311 was hit with some disappointing news. Supposedly so last week, I believe we came out that they had secured a charter, but no news had been shared about what. They secured a charter and a crew chief. Well, this week we found out that 2311, the deal fell through with Front Row Motorsports. So they were going to get a 1 or even 2 charters from Front Row Motorsports, and that deal fell through. So now they're a charter list for their second team. I don't know about the crew chief. So now they're working hard to try and find a new charter. So what are you guys' thoughts on this? Do you think that Front Row Motorsports stays? Aaron, let's start with you.
I think that Front Row Motorsports has found some sort of a deal for a sponsor for that other car, and that's why the deal fell through, even though no one's really talking about it. But it certainly does suck for Denny Hamlin in 2311 Racing, because now they're having to hunt down that other charter again this late in the season. I think they will find one somewhere, somehow. Maybe kind of lease that charter from Rick Ware if they have to. But if I were 2311, I wouldn't be too mad about it. But so it is very disappointing for 2311 to kind of have that the deal that you think is finally coming through. All you need to do is just on dotted line, and then kind of just fall through the cracks. So it starting to suck for him. But again, I wouldn't be too concerned about that at this point.
What about you, Tom?
If I'm Kurt Busch, I'm very concerned now. I mean, you went and signed this thing assuming there was going to be a charter and you were going to run all 36 races, and now with 3 races to go in the season, you're finding out you don't have a charter. If I'm Kurt Busch, I'm pretty concerned. And I used to have an attorney I dealt with that he used to always say, a deal isn't a deal until it's done. That until everything is done and you have signed on the dotted line and closed it, it's not done. And he used to preach that over and over. And this is a perfect example of that. So I think it puts Rick Ware in a great spot because the price just went up, because there are fewer charters available. So, Michael Jordan's going to have to dig a little deeper into his pockets. I don't know how it's going to play out, honestly, but if I'm Kurt Busch, I'm pretty upset because I'm sure he took that deal with the understanding and assumption that it was going to be a chartered ride and he was going to be guaranteed to run in all 36 races. If I'm him, I'm pretty concerned. But we'll see how it plays out. Zach, what do you think of all this?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see that. I think that this kind of hurts 2311. It was this time last year that they had announced and their run for 2021 this season. And I think the late start, like I've been saying, really showed. I mean, if this happens to Kurt Busch, then I think this could have an effect on him. Will I do it? Do I think that they're going to run? Yes. Denny Hamlin, I believe, came out. I don't have the quote on me, but he came out and said that they're going to run regardless of whether or not they find another charter for the team. That just means smaller purse money. So that means more money coming out of Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin's pocket. But but he's not guaranteed. He won't be guaranteed a spot in every single race. Do I think they will be strong enough to compete in every single race? Yes, but that's not the point. I think this is great news for Front Row Motorsports. We still get to see them next season, for now, with 2 cars. But there's definitely some other charters that they can go after, and they don't necessarily have to if they don't want to. But that just runs a risk that I don't think they need to be running. Anyway, so moving on, NASCAR orders a ceasefire on the Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick feud. They brought him in a closed-door meeting and told them to stop or there will be serious repercussions. What do you guys think on that one, Tom?
Oh, man, we could talk a whole show about this. Okay, so there's so many levels to this. Okay. One is the quote or reference from the Chase Elliott camp about something about preserving the integrity of the playoffs or something like that. That sounds to me like the message was, don't do anything else during the playoffs. Okay, and the fact that this is being called a ceasefire is not a truce. A ceasefire means we're not going to fight right now. I got to believe that this rivalry is not over, that it's going to continue when we drop the green flag at Daytona next year, and we're going to see more beating and banging with those two, but I think it's going to be put on hold for right now. let's go to another level of this, okay? Tony Stewart is not NASCAR's favorite person. Okay. He's been very critical of them in the past. And I got to say, for the most part, I agree, rightly so. And he's been critical, but he's also started this SRX series, which it may not be competition to NASCAR right now, but I think they can certainly see the writing on the wall that he's got the opportunity to grow this into something that competes against NASCAR. So they cannot be real happy with Tony Stewart right now. And I got to believe that they would not hesitate to swing a very big hammer on that Stewart-Haas Racing organization if anything happens. So the levels of, there's the playoffs, there's next year, there's the wording about integrity of the playoffs, there's Tony Stewart and his status as the bad boy of the owners. There's so many levels to this. But my thoughts are, right now, we're not going to see anything, but I don't think this thing is done. So, Aaron, what do you have to say?
I don't think it's done yet. I think they're going to try and continue this battle in other ways, more like psychological warfare, like we saw kind of during the Darrell Waltrip days, where they wouldn't touch each other, they wouldn't beat and banging, but they would try and get each other's heads rent free, and kind of just let them just let them take each other out by themselves. And so I think Harvick is going to get like closest bumper just to get him loose, but not make contact or at least try not to. But I don't think this is really over yet. But in my opinion, I kind of think that it was mostly over when Harvick wrecked himself at the Roval. We're going to look back because Harvick showed that he is scared of Chase Elliott. He is scared of him. And I don't know. I kind of think NASCAR saying, like, okay, it's handled. No one is going to wreck anyone else anymore. It is over. It is done. And we took action, and so everyone kind of praised us for taking action. But I think the beating banging is over, but psychological warfare is not done yet. But I would not be surprised if they just kind of just go the separate ways after the offseason and kind of talk it over.
Zach, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, I was going to say that I don't think this is over this season. I really don't. And I don't know necessarily that it's psychological. I think that we're probably going to see them clash on track again this season, especially if Elliot doesn't make the Final Four, which is there is a strong possibility that does happen. And I think that if there's a chance for Harvick to hold up Elliot because he's damaged or whatever, he's slower, and Larson and Elliot's trying to win in, I think he'll hold him up, just like he did to him. Elliot did to him at Bristol. So I don't think this is over. I don't necessarily think we're going to see the knockout, drag out wrecking, but because it was pretty obvious at the Roval. But I think we will see stuff happen, even if they do make the Final Four as well. So it'll be interesting.
I think in Harvick's mind, Elliot kept him from advancing. So in Harvick's mind, I think the score isn't settled until he keeps Elliot from advancing.
Exactly.
Now, he may not, with the meeting they had this week, he may not have the chance to do it this year, or he may not be able to do it, obviously. But I think in his mind, until he keeps Chase Elliott from advancing, he's not settled the score. Now, I'm not saying that's right, but I'm saying I think that's his mindset.
This is exactly the Kenseth situation, though. What is he running for at this point? He's not in the championship. I mean, the only thing that he can do is maybe advance his positions in the points and maybe get a little bit more purse money. Tony Stewart has that bad boy attitude. He wants. He told. Oh God! Chase Briscoe. After the run-in with Hamlin, that he liked that. He wanted to see more of it. So I don't think this is over. And what's a couple race suspension over getting back at the person that cost you potentially a shot at the championship. And I'm not saying that either one of them was in the right or wrong, but I'm saying that in Harvick's mind, I think that's what it is. And I think his team owner would fully support it. Will that happen? I don't know. But I think that NASCAR had to have this meeting on the record books in order to potentially penalize if something were to happen. I don't think that this necessarily stops anybody. It's like, oh, don't you dare do that. Don't you dare do that. That kind of thing. So
see,
now, Kevin, don't you do that now. You play nice with Chase.
I told you to stop.
I would not be. I disagree. NASCAR has a way, as Darrell Waltrip used to say, of reminding you that you need them a whole lot more than they need you. And Darrell Waltrip had his share of visits to the NASCAR hauler. I really think, and I may be wrong, I think when they said severe penalties, I think they would go as far as telling them, you're not going to screw up these playoffs. And if you pull another stunt like you did at the Roval, I think they may have threatened Tony Stewart with revoking a charter. Because you're right, a suspension wouldn't do anything. Harvick couldn't care less. He's got nothing to race for. You want to suspend him for 3 or 4 races? Go ahead. It's not going to do anything to him. I think with if you're dealing with Tony Stewart, you have to go to that level of severity if you want it stopped. So maybe I'm wrong, but I'm saying I could see it. I could see that being part of the conversation. And remember, I don't think NASCAR would like anything better than to stick it to Tony Stewart really good after him starting the SRX series.
I don't think that just them revoking a charter will be way too harsh of a punishment. I mean, also, side note, integrity of the playoffs, that is a BS statement. There has never been integrity in these playoffs ever since its inception. I mean, we've seen people wreck each other in the playoffs every damn year. So what integrity is there?
How about when we used to have people pulling over and giving up positions to let somebody in the playoffs when we were coming down to the wire? Yeah, remember the years we had the big scandals at Richmond because people were pitting so that they could fall back and somebody else could move forward and gain playoff spots.
Deflategate. Oh yeah,
I just think that revoking a charter is way too much. You have a precedent set with Matt Kenseth when he absolutely rammed Joey Logano in the wall. Of what happens when that does happen. You let them hash it out on the track. If until it becomes a safety issue, let them hash it out on the track is my opinion. I think that revoking a charter is way too harsh of a penalty. And
I'm just saying I could see it as being part of the conversation. I don't know. That's pure speculation. Yeah. So, all right, let's move on.
Yeah.
We are up to who's hot, who's not. So, Zach, let's stick with you. Go give us your who's hot, who's not this week.
Yeah, so I based mine off of Texas, but obviously over the past couple of weeks, I think that these guys have been doing good and bad, respectively. But as far as who's my hot, I'm gonna say Ryan Blaney. He scored 48 points, only behind Kyle Larson and William Byron at Texas. He finished 6th last weekend. He has five top tens in the last 6 playoff races, and is second in points heading into Kansas, I believe they're at next.
Yeah, Kansas.
Thank you. So he's been awesome. He's been on a tear. And who would have thought at this point at the beginning of the season that Ryan Blaney would be second in points at the Final 4 cutoff race? I didn't think that was going to happen. But obviously no, you didn't. Stop it.
I predicted a breakout season for Blaney. It is on the internet. You can look it up.
That was after his wins. But
no. You want me to, hold on. I'll go. You keep going. Keep going.
Okay. I could be wrong, but we'll see. So, after those 3 wins, he has really come into his own, especially after that first win. He's just really come into his own. He's had some struggling races. I believe the brake failure at Nashville was one of them that was kind of heartbreaking. But really, he has been strong and very, very, very consistent, reminiscent of when he drug that Woods Brother racing car to the round of 8 back in, I believe, 2018, 2017. Anyway, as far as who's not, I'm going to say Martin Truex Jr. He struggled at Texas. I mean, struggled, and he really couldn't do much. And he really, since the first round, he hasn't done much at all. And so, he finished 25th. I don't necessarily know where that puts him on the playoffs. If you give me a second, act like this never happens. No, let's see. He is, seventh. So he's second to last with behind 82 points, it says, to the leader. And how many off the cutoff? 22 points. So not great. Not great at all. Nearly, probably, depending on what Kansas looks like for him, a must-win situation. And really floundering compared to his two Toyota teammates and Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch. So not a good look. He needs to really pick it up, as well as the team, get some good solid finishes, hopefully a win. I think Kansas might be a good track for him to do that at. But who knows at this point? I think what's the other race that's on there? Martinsville, he's good at. So maybe these next two tracks, Kansas is a Toyota dominant track, as seen by Kyle Busch's many wins there. And Martinsville, Truex has had some amazing runs there. So
okay,
all right, wrong.
All right, so here we go. You'll notice the date, January 18th, 2021.
Okay.
Bold predictions by Tom Willoughby.
Okay.
Number 8, Ryan Blaney has a breakout season.
All right. I meant on our podcast. Okay.
I rest my case.
All right. I meant on our podcast. I'll just say that, but you're right. I'll give you it.
Okay. All right. Aaron,
anyway, that's
who's hot, who's not? Who you got?
All right. So for my hot and who's not this week, I got to go with Kyle Larson. The last 2 weeks, he's basically just quote unquote reemerged as the top candidate for the Cup Series championship this year, and this week he is back to his summer form, just dominating Texas throughout the day. Really, no one could really challenge him throughout, and he's just, of course, lining up Texas. So Kyle Larson for who's hot and who's not. Do I want to say that for Tom? Do I not? Because I see what you put, Tom. I don't want to steal it from you again.
Go ahead. It's worthy of both of us saying it. Go ahead.
You only got a point. All right. My who's not this week is Motorsports Games. What the hell was that? What the hell is this product you're putting out? This is ridiculous. You had 2 years to come up with a new NASCAR game that we were all excited for. Since 704 basically dropped the ball for Heat 4 and Heat 5, and you give us that? You can't even run fucking properly. How the hell do you do that? 704 makes a better product than you. I mean, just seriously. I mean, first off, we have no Xfinity, no Truck Series, which, fine, I get it. It's your first NASCAR game. Go simple. But right now, here's basic. Here's where we all expected you to be. Here's where you are. You're below basic. Some of the settings features are not in there. You can't even use your car on online races. Can't use it there. No private lobbies. Can't use it there. There goes like 3/4 of your fan base right there off the bat with no private lobbies. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous, and that is stupid. And so on that day one patch, which, by the way, day one patch, really great idea. By the way, awesome, awesome condolences for us, for all of us who are trying to hype it up for you and pay your ridiculous wages out of our pocketbooks to say, oh yeah, well, we know the game sucks, so here's a patch on day one. Not re-encouraging. So that better be fixed day one, or you are screwed. That's my rant.
Well said. Said.
I was told that the day one patch was in some of the gameplay that we saw.
What we're seeing is what we're getting. Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh, I can't confirm that,
better.
But I
that
can't
is not
confirm
better
that.
in Motorsports Games.
I'm trying to see who it was who sent that to me. But
we don't need to spend time figuring out who sent it to you.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Who's hot? Who's not? Who's hot? I am going with William Byron. William Byron had a chance to win at the Roval. He had a chance until he basically got pushed through the chicane. He had a chance to upset the reigning road course kings of Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. Then he basically ran second to Kyle Larson for most of the race at Texas. I am saying at this point, you can make a strong case that William Byron is now the second best driver at Hendrick Motorsports. Maybe not all season long, but right now at the end of the season, you could make the case that he has surpassed Chase Elliott. I know Elliott got wrecked, obviously, at the Roval, but look at what William Byron was done. He was running up front before Elliott got wrecked. He ran second to Kyle Larson. You could make the case that he has become the number 2 guy at Hendrick Motorsports. And let's face it, nobody in that Hendrick campus faced more adversity than he is. He had to pull out a miracle and drive his butt off just to get out of the first round of the playoffs. So I am so impressed with what William Byron has done since the playoffs have been started, the finishes he's had, the way he has conducted himself, the adversity he's overcome. I am so impressed with William Byron. He is my who is hot right now. Now, 704 games, motorsports games, whatever you want to call it. Here's my thing. You have no idea who your audience is. You have lost touch with your racers, okay? You don't know the people playing your games, okay? Let me explain this to you, okay? You set up this summer showdown series with 4 races, okay? Every single race, every one of them, not one, every one of them, to qualify for it, it was a fuel mileage race. You had to figure out how to set up the car to not run fast, but to make it to the end on a certain number of pit stops when it would normally take more pit stops, okay? That favored anybody who had a clutch, okay? Guess what? That is probably about 1 to 5% of the people that play the game. And I understand maybe you set it up once that way to make it different. Every single one you set up that was a fuel mileage race, giving a huge advantage to anybody who had a clutch. Who do you think plays the game? Do you think everybody out here has some $5,000 rig set up and has a clutch? No, that is probably 1 to 5% of the people, okay? You come up with a new game and you can't make a private lobby? Do you pay any attention to do you go into any of the social media groups dedicated to your game to see what people are doing and what people are talking about? There are leagues all over the place. There are literally hundreds of leagues, and it never occurs to you to have private lobbies. And oh, by the way, every other racing game, from iRacing to Assetto Corsa to Forza to whatever, has private lobbies. How do you not know that? Okay, that's number 2. Number 3, how do your servers go down for a whole weekend? Do you really care about the people playing your game when you didn't even know that when you pulled the servers for Heat 2 and 3, that Heat 5 was on the same game? Okay, or on the same set of servers? How do you not check that? Okay. Do you even care about your customers? And then not only do you not check it, then you let it go for a whole weekend. Okay? You didn't do anything about it. Basically, you said, we're all gone for the weekend. We'll just deal with it when we come back. Okay, first, how do you make that mistake? Second, how do you be so lackadaisical that not only was it down for a weekend, you provided no communication to anybody. It was just down and nothing. Nothing. Know what happened. Know when it will be back. No, nothing. You're like, we got your money. We really don't care if the servers are up or not. Okay. How about doing what you said you were going to do? You guys clearly don't understand your players. People race in leagues. People race in lobbies. And people want it to be more realistic, so they have broadcasters and commentators for their league. Okay. So what do? You advertise that there's going to be a leaderboard when you're in the spectator mode, so you can broadcast, commentate. Then you don't have it. It doesn't work. You pull it. You say it'll be back. You never follow through. You never do it. You don't know who is playing your game. Okay. Then you come out with this stuff where the game crashes, the game glitches, there's no track map on it anymore. What are you guys doing? Do you guys, I know Motorsports Games is headquartered in a foreign country or something, but did you talk to anybody that plays the game? Did you go on any of the social media groups dedicated to your game to see what people talk about? It's ridiculous. I don't know how you can be this clueless and yet hype your game up so much. So that's my rant.
There was so much hype going into it, and what did we get? What do the
we
people
got
actually
physics
play?
and we got a paint booth and we lost 15
physics.
other features.
Not even physics.
Not only that, but the teasers for it are photoshopped photos of the actual game. They look similar. They don't look close to what we actually get in the game.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that we get 1 minute BS clips of supposedly in-game play that don't show anything. And then when we get to the actual product where these dev testers are showing it, it's glitchy. It supposedly, and this is from Real Radman. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He's big in the Heat community. Yeah. He says this already has the day one patch and it's confirmed.
Okay. Well,
so this is the game we're getting on day one without stages, without the correct point system. So how are you supposed to emulate an actual NASCAR race and series? How is this an actual game? This like it doesn't even emulate the actual things that it's supposed to do on day one.
This is just a shinier turd of NASCAR Heat Evolution. That's all this is. Just a shinier NASCAR Heat Evolution. And you guys remember how bad that game was. This is the same damn thing.
And go back to Zach's point about this video. When they released the 1 minute video, which was a lap around the roval, okay, if I'm putting out a video trying to get people to buy my game and play it, I'm going to make it look as good as I can. In that 1 minute video, okay, there was no tachometer. Okay, you couldn't see what your RPMs were. There was no gear indicator, so you couldn't see what your gear was. I don't think there was a rear view mirror.
There was nothing on there.
There was absolutely nothing. You didn't see anything what you're used to seeing. Like we can hit the B button if it's Xbox. I don't know what it is for PS4, where you can see your tire temperatures, your fuel remaining. None of that was up there. You can hit the A button to see the leaderboard and how far back you are. Notice when they crossed the finish line in that one, it didn't show your lap time. Okay, maybe that was some beta version, but guess what? I'm not a marketing person, but I know this. If I want people to buy my game, I'm going to put out a video that shows all these things you can do. And if you're actually releasing a racing game that doesn't show a tachometer and doesn't show what gear you're in, God help you. How did you ever get a license to do this stuff?
I don't know.
All right, let's move on. Sorry. We could rant about this until the game comes out and we can see how bad it is.
Again, that rant could be an entire show, maybe even 2 shows. So yeah,
can I say one last thing? I just want to say people in the Heat community and people who love NASCAR games and buy them for league racing and whatever, we as a community have constantly been waiting for things that never come true. Like they don't put in every year. It's, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. This game is going to be the best game because we're adding this or we're doing this. We're taking away this. And every single year it's disappointment after disappointment. Motorsports Games was supposed to change that. And I know it's not supposed to be on day one, but this is a terrible, terrible example that they're setting. If on day one, this is everything that we're getting.
And by the way,
when they had 2 years to do this.
And by the way, this paint booth that's so great, how ironic is this? If you play career mode, you can't run your own car. You have to run one of the other cars. So if you're in career mode, you can't even use the paint booth because you have to run Brad Keselowski's 2 or Kyle Larson's 5. So this paint booth that everybody wanted, you can't even use it in career mode. Great. Way to go, guys.
Nor can you use your car online either.
The amazing
so what's the damn point?
Yeah, the amazing physics that they showed, all the cars shaking around and going on the apron unrealistically, stopping on the before they get to the start finish line. I mean, this is just a joke. It's a joke.
It is a
Anyway,
complete
I'm done.
it is a complete damn joke.
Yeah. All right, sorry, we got to move on. My blood pressure's going skyrocketing here. I can feel it. All right, Simoleons, take us through green flag, red flag.
All right, into the real world NASCAR. Green flag, red flag, question number 1. And fans in the comments, please go ahead and say green flag, red flag to these questions too. We want to hear your feedback. Green flag for yes, red flag for no. As we talked about earlier in the show, the Kevin Harvick Chase Elliott feud is over. Green flag for yes, red flag for no. Zach, let's go with you first.
Yeah, I already shared my thoughts on this. Red flag all the way. I don't think it's over even before the end of the season. I think something's going to happen for sure.
I'm going to say red flag, but I think we don't see a lot of action until next year with it. But I want to say this, Mike Hora, Heat 5 isn't that bad. Here is let me tell you something about Heat 5. Suddenly Heat 5 does look pretty good.
Yeah, Heat 5 actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, this is all the bitching we did about Heat 5. Let me tell you, best thing to make you appreciate Heat 5 is the crap we're seeing from this NASCAR ignition. So suddenly Heat 5 doesn't look that bad.
When a group of 20-something people can make a better NASCAR game on a mobile gaming engine than a $1 billion game studio, that's when you know we've hit rock bottom.
Oh, how about Adam tuning in here? I got stung by a wasp today and wasn't as pissed as Tom. Sorry about the wasp. On this screen, we have red flags all the way. Even Mike says green until Daytona, then all red. Yeah. Mike, you and I are on the same wavelength here.
Exactly. I'm going red flag too, but I don't think it's going to be more. Like I said earlier, I think it'll be more psychological warfare between the two. They'll still duke it out, but not really kind of grab the attention of NASCAR all too much. Just say, hey, no, you wrecked him on purpose. Like, no, I didn't even touch him. He got loose. What do you want me to do about it? And so I think that'll be happening the next for at least the next few races. All right, so green flag, red flag number 2. A driver that is not currently in the top 4 will win at Kansas or Martinsville to advance to the championship 4. And for reference, these are drivers not in the top 4 are Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., and Joey Logano. So green flag, red flag. Tom, we'll start with you.
I am saying green flag because when you look at who is not in the top 4 and you just name them, they all have wins at Martinsville. Some of them have multiple wins. So I don't know if one of them grabs a win at Kansas. I think if one of them is going to grab a win at Kansas, it's Brad Keselowski because he's extremely strong there. But you look at this, they've all won at Martinsville. So I think it's highly likely that one of those 4 grabs a win at Martinsville. So I am going green flag on that one. And by the way, Zach.
Yeah.
The man crush is alive and well.
Thank you, Adam. I put this on just for you. My Aaron Rodgers relax sweatshirt just for you.
All right. So Zach, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I'm gonna say green flag. I'm gonna say Martin Truex Jr. probably is my likely bet to win. And he's pretty far out, so it's almost a must-win situation. But if not, I think Elliot has a chance, especially with how strong Hendrick has been this season. Brad and Joey, I don't know. Joey, I think, is too far gone. Brad might have a chance, but it all just depends. We'll see. But I really think Martin Truex Jr. is probably the best bet. But I'm going to say green because I think he can do it, especially at Martinsville.
Okay.
He has to beat out his teammates though, so that'll be interesting to see.
It's the playoff. Who cares about teammates?
Yeah.
I'm going to go green flag also. I'm going to say, and it hurts my soul to say this, but Joey Logano at Martinsville. He's been fairly good at Martinsville the last few years, and I think that's his best shot to get in. Truex also good at Martinsville. Chase Elliott also good, of course, being at Hendrick. So I think Martinsville is going to be the place where one of those four is going to get a win to get in. And so that'll be a green flag all the way for me.
Well, and I think of those guys, they're all kind of aggressive, but to me, Logano is the guy that he'd put his mother into the wall at Martinsville if he had to win. He'd put her into the wall if his wife was in the passenger seat and his kids were in the back seat. He's the guy that I think would do anything if it came down to it to get that win.
You know, he's shown over the course of his career. GJ saying green, Adam Lauer.
I love that. Watch Larson win both. Okay. Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, probably. I mean, Checkenhouse is the car chief over at Hendrick. So
I would not want to see. I would not want to bet against that though.
No sane fan should. All right, so for the last one of the night, John Hunter Nemechek has shown that he has what it takes for an Xfinity ride. Green flag or red flag, Zach?
Absolutely, green flag, 100%. John Hunter has been consistent and fast truck and a championship contender. He's won. He did what he needed to do, what he said he was going to do. I think he's absolutely deserving of an Xfinity Series ride. Even in the 38 when he was up in Cup, he really, I think, overperformed, especially when you consider the results of this past season. I think he has the talent. I think it's only a matter of time.
All right, Tom, what say you?
Absolutely, green flag. He won this week. I mean, how else? What else can you do to prove you deserve a ride than go out and beat everybody? So yeah, absolutely. I think this is a green flag, hands down. Again, hats off to John Hunter Nemechek. Bold move, knew what he needed to do for his career. Everybody, I think, said he was wrong, but he's proven it that he knows his talent better than we do. So hats off to him. But yeah, I think he's proven that he can wheel an Xfinity car for sure. What about you, Aaron?
I'll also go green flag. He of course he didn't just win off of like a last lap pass or a few mileage stuff. He went out there and he beat the best of the best in Xfinity Series right now. I mean, he beat Austin Cindric, he beat AJ Allmendinger, he beat Justin Allgaier and basically all the championship favorites in at Texas, which is a very tough track to pass and a very tough track to really kind of get away from everybody else. And so absolutely he has shown what it takes to be in that Xfinity ride.
Okay. All right, that brings us to a preview of the Kansas race. So we're previewing next week's race. It's Kansas. Last year, I think they were racing in Kansas, and it was like 40-degree weather, which I think threw everybody for a loop because it was so cold and did so much to the grip level at the track. And if I'm not mistaken, they even had wind to deal with. But when we are going to Kansas, okay, I'm going to put Adam Lauer's comment up here. I like Joey for Kansas. And he says, well, I don't like Joey. Well, Adam, nobody likes Joey, okay?
Nobody does.
Okay. Joey is the guy that he is the one guy that can make people cheer for Kyle Busch, okay?
I don't want to go that far.
Well, okay, maybe not that far. But he says he's likely at Kansas. I'm going to disagree with you. Brad Keselowski at Kansas, okay? Last 4 races at Kansas, Brad, 3, 2, 4, and 1, okay? So I am saying he is going to be the guy at Kansas. And hold on a second. What did I just do? I didn't think Logano was that. Logano, Adam. Logano, 17th, 35th, 1st, and 15th. So other than that one win, Logano not looking that strong at Kansas to me. But I'm expecting Brad Keselowski to run really well at Kansas, maybe even grab the win. What do you guys have to say about Kansas?
Zach, you want to go?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I kind of zoned out for a second. Kansas. I think it's going to be a Toyota and Hendrick show. One of those two teams is going to get a win. I had to pinpoint drivers, I would probably say Kyle Larson or Kyle Busch. Next best would probably be Denny Hamlin or Chase Elliott. So we'll have to see if I have some intuition about that next week, but that's going to be my thing. It's an interesting track, and I mean, history goes to show that I think it lends itself as a Toyota track, but Hendrick has been so dominant. I think especially with how Larson has been doing, I think he could take it. So who knows?
But I will go and say that Hamlin is going to win it. But I think that Larson is going to be is going to be hot on his heels. But I think you guys are forgetting one guy who was kind of up there the last time we were there, and that's Ryan Blaney. And so I think he's going to say something about it before the day is done. But yeah, I think it's going to be Hamlin, Larson, and Blaney, your top three.
Blaney? I love Blaney. The 21st, 20th, 7th, and 32nd at Kansas.
I mean, hey.
I don't know.
Anything can happen.
Hey, I think, if anything, I think Blaney could be the highest finisher. Maybe Keselowski. Logano is just not really proven a lot to me, but also Blaney has just been he's just been dominant as far as the Penske group goes, and I think he needs to finish in the top 10 in order to move on. I think that would give him enough points to be safe. So I would pay attention to that.
Okay. All right, so I think we are up to our white flag segment here, where everybody just kind of takes a closing thought. And Stevie Throop tuning in, DJ Wilson tuning in, Bobby Cook tuning in, Adam Lauer's been here.
Aaron Armstrong. Terry Stevens.
A lot of people tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in. I have two closing thoughts. One is I want to thank all you guys for tuning in. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the comments. We try to acknowledge as many of the viewers we can. If we missed anybody, I sincerely apologize. But really, as much as I enjoy hanging out with my co-hosts, I enjoy seeing what everybody has to say in the comments. The other parting comment I have is, Zach, when are we? Every week we see you, and I want to know, when are you going to play that piano and serenade Adam Lauer, during the broadcast? That's what I am waiting on. I keep seeing it in the background down there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when are we going to see you, tickling the keys and serenading Adam Lauer? I think that might bring a tear to Adam's eye if you did it. So can we schedule a date for that?
There you go.
I hadn't thought about it. It's funny enough because all of my childhood, I've always wanted to play piano, but I never got lessons. So I don't know how, but maybe I get some lessons.
Okay, so who in the house is the piano player? Is it Haley?
Yes, Haley, and I think her sister as well.
So Haley could play the piano, and you could just sing to Adam.
I might break the microphone. I mean, I'm not that bad, but I'm not good.
I would break the microphone.
I don't think Adam will really care that much.
I think if I have a couple beers, I might have enough confidence. I go to karaoke. I used to go to karaoke every Wednesday, so.
Every Wednesday. Wow. Now I've heard of people saying I sang karaoke once, or I did it once when I was drunk. I've not heard very many people say I went every Wednesday.
Well, I didn't go.
That sounds like he's a little better than he lets on. Sounds like he's sandbagging.
Look, the bar had specials. I went there for the drinks, and then somehow ended up on stage. So the majority of the time.
So. Now, see, Tom, you still owe Zach a few of those beers, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, from episode 1. So
yeah, thank you for reminding me of that.
Okay. All right. Who wants to go next?
I will. I got something pulled up. So I don't know if anybody else saw the Friday night karaoke. Nice. I don't know if anybody saw the Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin fiasco. Obviously, that is another battle that people should be watching. Yeah, I am Stevie Wonder on the piano. I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing. So God, that lost my train of thought. So another battle brewing is Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin. Obviously, we saw Chase Briscoe wreck out Denny Hamlin and the Indy Roval course. That battle still has not ended because they got together last weekend and they took to Twitter, or I believe Instagram, to hash it out afterwards. Chase Briscoe said, if only I had 10,000 races worth of experience underneath my belt, ... And then Denny Hamlin's response was, well, if your car is better and you're better that day, you will get the spot back eventually. Risk management is how you optimize your finish each week. Maybe putting yourself in other shoes for 1 minute would help. You had 25 races to get a chance to race for the postseason. Respect is underrated trait in today's world, as it appears. So I don't know. I think Denny Hamlin got into Chase and hit Chase into the wall. So, definitely not great. But, we might see this battle blow over in the playoffs as well. NASCAR might have to have a meeting between those two.
Okay, so back to the karaoke. Mike's our guy here. He runs a karaoke show. He can hook us up.
Oh, nice. Oh, gosh.
Okay, so here's the thing. This whole Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe thing, I'm sorry, that's like the 8th page of the newspaper compared to the Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick thing. Those were the most plain vanilla, boring Instagram tweets, whatever they were. Let's compare those comments to, we want to wish the Ford team happy Christmas and a merry off season. That was classic. The other stuff looks like it was somebody trying to be politically correct and being afraid to come out and say what they really meant. So I'm saying they both need to step up their game if they want it to be a rivalry.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but still, those are some fighting words, and I think.
It's still brewing. It's still bubbling. It's still trying to gain momentum here, and so that's definitely two that you need to really keep an eye on.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron, what is your closing comments?
Well, on the subject of rivalry, there is still one more or two more drivers you need to keep your eyes on: William Byron and Tyler Reddick. The past 2 weeks, they've gotten into each other. At of course the Roval, Reddick bumped Larson or not Larson, Byron going into the backstretch bus stop, causing Byron to basically lose a race that he could have won. But then in Texas, we saw Reddick have a strong run going in turn 3, bump Byron out of the way, and then Byron kind of retaliated in kind of looking like the Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson Talladega race about a decade back. And so those two might be drivers you need to keep your eye on moving forward, though, because like that rivalry is starting to kind of bubble up and brew.
Yeah. Going back to the Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin one, I think Adam put it in perspective here. Yeah, given where Chase Briscoe and what he has accomplished in his career to this point compared to Denny Hamlin, I think Adam pretty much sums it up right there.
Yeah, but I wouldn't compare Hamlin to Tom Brady.
True.
I would say it's more like Tom Brady versus any Jet quarterback in recent memory. Didn't they have a rivalry?
But Tyler Reddick, I want to say something, okay? If you are Tyler Reddick right now and you are bumping William Byron around, you have to be running pretty well, because William Byron has been running up front. So I am going to say this now. unless we have something happen at a restrictor plate, because we know restrictor plates, anybody can win on any given day. Other than a restrictor plate, the next first-time winner in NASCAR is going to be Tyler Reddick.
I agree.
He is showing consistent improvement. He is running top 5 a lot. He has really came on and developed the last half of the year. I am saying that probably not this year, but next year he's going to visit victory lane. He's going to be the next first-time winner we see.
I fully agree with that.
So, all right, with that, I think it is time for us to wind this down and say goodbye to you guys. And we will catch up with you next week when we are done with Kansas, and we will have more things to disagree about. And hopefully we'll have some exciting racing. And I'm hoping that we're going to be celebrating a Brad Keselowski win, since I basically predicted him. But we will catch you guys next week. Thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you guys.
Adam, don't you need to blow Zach a kiss? Isn't there like a emoji that you can do there for Zach?
Don't
dreams,
tempt him.
Adam.
Don't tempt him.
I will see you next time on this show. Next week.
All right. With that, we are out of here because Zach and Adam need to find a room.
Yes, I do.
There it is. There it is.
Okay. Thank you. All right. We're done.
All right. Y'all take it easy, guys.